Hey everybody, Dr. Green here. I'm just going to make a quick video to show you how to use PyCharm to do Python projects, run Python files, all those kind of things. This is the screen or something very similar you'll see when you begin using PyCharm. You can either create a new project, open a project. For this course, for 1010, we don't need to worry about cloning a repository. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and create a new project. We want to make sure we pick pure Python. Up here, you can adjust the path to your project. Click the folder to adjust things. I'm going to go ahead, maybe I'll put this right on my desktop. I'm going to go ahead and create a folder called CS1010 projects. And then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to create another new folder called project 1. Okay. Go ahead, open that. Say open. I'm going to allow if I'm asked for any access issues. And in this case, you may see this portion spinning a little bit, trying to detect your Python versions. I think you can go ahead and use the project venv. That shouldn't cause any problems. If you have multiple Python versions and know what you're doing, feel free to pick anything that begins with a 3. In this case, I'll probably use Python 3.13. You will see I have multiple versions of Python installed on my computer, so I can pick any of those. Additionally, if you don't have Python installed, you can pick one of these options at the bottom to install a version of Python. Any of these should work just fine for this class. I don't think there'll be any issues with any of them. So if you haven't installed Python, you can pick one of these. Otherwise, I would typically go with whatever the default choice is that you've selected. So once we do this, we're going to go ahead and say create. It's going to go ahead and create our project. You'll see this is just a typical IDE or integrated development environment. It's creating something called a virtual environment, a virtual env that will allow you to do things. Currently, I'm going to skip this part. Though if you signed up for everything from JetBrains using your BGSU email address, you should have access to the full professional version of everything. So here we go. We have our project. We have some things. So the question always becomes, how do we get started here? I'm going to right click. I'm going to go ahead and say new. I'm going to create a file. Okay. I can actually call this whatever I want. Typically, I would end up starting with something like main.py. If you don't want to pick new file, you can always pick new Python file, and you can name it. I'll just name mine main, and you can select Python file and hit enter. It'll go ahead, it'll create main.py. Python files are very straightforward. If you want to run them, I may say a equals 10, b equals 12, print a plus b. Okay? And you'll see it may give me some code completion suggestions and things like that. You can pick whatever you want, do all those kind of things. Very simply, you can use run from the top menu to go ahead and run this. You'll see that I got my output right here if you want to run a file. If you want to debug a file, you can set a breakpoint right here. You choose run and you can pick debug. And you'll see this will take a second to start up. As it goes through, it'll actually tell you what the variables are. You'll notice that I am on this line because it's highlighted. I can hover over things. We'll see when I come down here, I should be able to hover over some things. Down here, it lists all your variables. You can see what everything is. You'll see right there, I have my variable a equals 10. And here I have my debug bar, right? So I can stop debugging. I can play till the end. I can step over, which is typically what you're going to do later in the course. If we're using functions or something, you may want to use the step into. But for right now, I'll hit step over, and you'll see it actually goes to the next line. So now I know that A is 10, B is 12, and I can also see that down here in my box. The next line we're on is this print A plus B. So my code has stopped there. I can evaluate things. I can even go in here and try things. I can type in different expressions. You'll see they get added in here. It tells me that the result is right here. I can remove that, watch whatever I want to do. This allows me to experiment with some things, which is really nice. I also can go over to the console and try things. Additionally, you'll see that I can set a value, add a watch, different things to my variables up here. When I am done stepping through, I can either continue stepping through to the end like that. You'll see we actually got to the end. Otherwise, if I go up here and I say run and I just say debug main.py one more time, it's going to stop on that line. I can always hit play and just pop right through my code to the end if I don't want to do that. So here is a very short video on how you debug and use PyCharm. Now the one thing I do want to add to this, you'll notice I have my project saved on my desktop in the CS1010 projects. Inside any of these things, you will see that there are your Python files, and there will be some hidden files that start with a dot. This .venv and this .idea file or folder. The .idea folder, that is used by PyCharm to keep settings. And .venv is something we use with Python, just a standard industry practice we're not quite ready to explain yet, but we will as the semester goes on. I strongly recommend that you create a folder, and for every project, every assignment, every piece of code you need to write, you create a separate folder. That way you can always go in here to PyCharm. You can close a project, and then you'll see there is my project 1. I can always just go and open that, or I can click on this. It'll pop me right back in, and I have no problem working on things. So best of luck. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll see you in class.